And right now we are monitoring two growing threats of massive flooding. The first, a tropical storm. The second in New Mexico, a New Mexican community that was just ravaged by wildfire yesterday. We're going to start in Texas, where the tropical storm warnings are in effect along the coast tonight. That's because Alberto, the first named storm of this hurricane season, is expected to make landfall in northern Mexico tomorrow morning, but its effects are already being felt. Coastal towns are already seeing flooding past people's knees there, and in some parts of Texas, they could see more than a foot of rain as Alberto gets closer to making landfall. Things could be even worse down in Mexico, where the eye of the storm is expected to hit. We are talking mudslides, flash floods. Then there is a whole other disaster to tell you about there. That's near Ruidoso, New Mexico. Thunderstorms right now are forecast for that same area, where two wildfires are still 0% contained, and the wind and heavy rain could bring massive flash flooding to that region. At least 2 people have died and more than 1,000 homes or businesses have been destroyed. And this comes as other parts of the country are still dealing with dangerously hot temperatures, now turning deadly. Here in California, police are investigating the death of a 2-month-old baby who was left in a hot car for hours. And in Arizona, officials confirm a woman died from heat exhaustion while hiking with her family over the weekend. And in the past 24 hours, the number of cities across the Midwest and Northeast hit temperatures of 90 degrees or higher, with millions under heat alerts tonight. It is getting so hot that Philadelphia has declared its first heat health emergency of the year. Our team is tracking it all. NBC News meteorologist Violetta Yas is standing by with the forecast. Maya England is in Coney Island in New York. But first, let's go to NBC News correspondent Guad Vanegas in Corpus Christi. Guad, bring us up to speed here. How much worse is the flooding in parts of Texas going to get right now? I mean, it looks like it's coming down really hard right now.
It is, Gadi. So we're still under a flood watch here in Corpus Christi. And right as we went on air, we're getting slammed by this wind. So, I mean, you can see it on camera. We've had heavy rain throughout the day. The rain started at about noon. A lot of areas here in Corpus Christi have been flooding. You can see the marina behind me. This area is the wall that protects. So this is the wall that protects this downtown area from flooding, of course. And we do have a barrier. So this is the most protected part of Corpus Christi, right? The seawall protects it. So other parts are, of course, much more vulnerable, especially on the north side where we've seen streets underwater. We spoke with local authorities who said they did conduct 2 rescues. These were individuals that were stuck in their vehicles driving through streets. So that's really the most dangerous thing when it comes to these storms and the possibility of flooding. People getting stuck in their vehicles. But Gadi, this is really the worst wind we've seen all day. We've been seeing the heavy rain, but these winds are pretty strong. And the storm, although the storm is down in Mexico, right, in this direction, southeast of us, we have been getting these outer bands of rain throughout the day as far north as Galveston and, of course, here in Corpus Christi. Now, a lot of this rain has moved inland, so this entire part of the state is under watch. The governor has offered support from the Texas Division of Emergency Management because they're prepared for whatever can happen in a lot of these areas as the rain keeps coming down, and we're getting this strong wind, as you can see, Gadi.
Yeah, and remarkable to think that this is still only the front side. I know that the governor there has declared a disaster for 51 counties, even before landfall tomorrow. I mean, they've had a few days warning there, right? Are people ready?
Right, so local authorities did everything they could to prepare, right? They cleared the storm drains. They shut down a lot of these roads that flood. Some of these roadways that go into the marina, they knew they were going to be underwater, a few inches in the water, so those have been shut down. They have emergency vehicles, high water rescue vehicles ready. They have shelters. And of course, there's the state resources. The National Guard is on standby as well. They have vehicles and all of these resources that the state will distribute to counties and cities. And it's getting pretty bad over here, Gadi. So this is what the storm is like, right? And again, the storm is expected to make landfall in Mexico. And this is what we're feeling up here. So we're going to have to wait to see how this turns out overnight and into the morning as local and state authorities are ready for the rain and, of course, the wind, Gadi.
Guad, we cannot thank you enough for showing us exactly what's going on out there right now. Hope you and your crew are safe. Thanks so much, Guad. And speaking of flooding concerns, we turn now to that catastrophe that is happening in New Mexico, where Just a town that was ravaged by wildfire yesterday is now facing some severe flash flooding as we speak. Now, officials confirmed that at least 2 people have died after fire ripped through the Ruidoso area, and some 1,400 buildings and homes have been burned. And not even 24 hours later, we are getting reports that even firefighters are being pulled out of some areas because of that heavy rainstorm that is expected to bring flash floods and possible mudslides to those burned out areas. Now, among the thousands of evacuees is Jerome Casero, who escaped with his wife, who is 38 weeks pregnant. Take a listen to what they went through.
I've been in fire before, so I told my wife, I was like, let's grab what we need that's important to us, our papers, our, pictures, or some clothes, and let's get going. We left everything else behind. It's been tough because I've never been through this before. And I just keep getting, cracked up about it because it's just, I know there's other families that are trying to look for their loved ones, and it's hard to deal with.
And our thoughts go out to those families in the village of Ruidoso and the Mescalero Apache tribe out there. Of course, this is a developing story, and we're going to bring you more updates as soon as we can. And for more on all this extreme weather, let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Violeta Yas, who is tracking all of this across the country tonight. Violeta, let's start with Tropical Storm Alberto. How bad do you think landfall is going to be?
Well, I think we'll continue to see the heavy rain and the winds. There is the potential for slight intensification between now and the time that this makes landfall. That's going to be very early Thursday morning. I don't think it'll be much, maybe about 45-mile-per-hour winds, but time is running out for that as the storm is already pretty close to land. It's about 150 miles east-southeast of Tampico, Mexico. Winds have been locked in at 40 miles per hour practically all day long. And again, in Guad's live shot is a great example of the size of this storm. Even though the storm center is way down here, those impacts extend well north all the way up into Houston. But of course, you can see not only that we've had that heavy rain in Corpus Christi, but winds are picking up as well. So these are the areas where we'll continue to see tropical storm conditions through tonight. Lake Jackson all the way down through South Padre Island, heavy rain, although maybe starting to taper a little bit for coastal areas, and it'll be a little bit more on and off, but the strong winds will continue. And of course, we've got the coastal flooding and any storm surge. That's going to take some time to recede. The forecast track takes a storm almost due west right through Tampico, and of course, this will start to weaken as it encounters the higher elevations in northeastern Mexico, but expecting this all in all to produce very heavy rain across South Texas, up to 7 inches here right around the Corpus Christi area, though local amounts, of course, expected to be higher. So still expecting it to stay very unsettled with that heavy rain and wind expected to continue at least as we head into tonight.
And pulling out a little bit further west, what's the latest with this thunderstorm in New Mexico that just seemed to, I don't know, pop up in like the worst possible place there?
It's so true. Unfortunately, this happens across the Southwest. You can see the scattered thunderstorms that developed earlier today, not just around that area, but we've got some down through El Paso, some up through the Albuquerque area. But let's take a closer look at that Ruidoso area in particular. Here we have that South Fork fire that's burned 15,000 acres already, and then the Salt fire that's burned 6,000 acres. We had that just one singular storm, not a big widespread rain event, but just a small but heavy thunderstorm that developed with very heavy rain, gusty winds, and also frequent lightning. And that, unfortunately, has triggered this flash flood emergency for this particular area. So unfortunately, a very dangerous situation unfolding there. Residents, of course, being urged to evacuate like we saw from that resident there. So very unfortunate situation, though thankfully that particular thunderstorm has weakened across that area.
Well, and while all that's happening, we've also got tens of millions across the country under crazy heat waves right now, right?
Yes, this heat has been building for a couple of days. It sort of started out through parts of the Midwest, but you can see this includes not only parts of Michigan, but extends right in through parts of New England. Our heat advisory still in effect, nearly 78 million impacted. Where you see the pink shading here across some of those metro areas, that's where we're expecting to see some of those very high heat indices on the order of maybe above triple digits. Current temperature still running very warm. Of course, we're past the point of peak heating of the day in most spots, but it's still 90 degrees all the way up in Syracuse, New York, Albany, 85, New York at 79. We're in the low 80s in Philadelphia, D.C. at 85 right now. So for tomorrow, we're actually expecting these temperatures to be even higher, I think Thursday and Friday. So for tomorrow, up to 93, all the way up in Providence. Of course, heat indices will be even higher. And then as we head into the weekend, unfortunately, this heat is expected to continue with only slight relief here across parts of the upper Northeast.
Violetta, thank you so much. And for more on the millions under heat alerts right now, as we just heard, the heat is scorching a bunch of states from the Midwest to the tip of Maine. And when you add up all the people under those heat warnings that you just saw, that comes out to about 80 million people, which is almost double the population of California. NBC News correspondent Maya Eglin has more from New York.
Hey, Gadi, yeah, we are out here on Coney Island. As you can see behind me, a lot of folks out here enjoying the sunshine and the beach. But with these extreme record-breaking temperatures and these air quality alerts that are impacting much of New York, there are some extreme risks of heat-related illnesses. So you want to remember the basics here. Stay hydrated, drink water. Governor Kathy Lee Hochul has actually opened up state parks for free. She's making sure that public pools are open earlier and adding misting stations at existing parks in the city and across the state. We spoke to a few people out here on the boardwalk on how they're staying safe.
I'm noticing that it was 96 where we live and significantly cooler here with the ocean breeze. That we left at about 7:30 this morning and just hit the road. We're just keeping it cool. We're taking breaks, having a lot of water and treats and ice cream and rolling with it.
In Newark, New Jersey, they're actually declaring a code red for tomorrow. The heat index there is expected to get to 101 degrees. So experts are saying stay indoors if you can, make sure you're staying hydrated, and check in on your family and friends, especially the elderly and infants. Governor Kathy Hochul is also adding 50 National Guards members available in Albany and Syracuse to be an additional resource for people there. And her best piece of advice is to make sure that we're taking care of each other as we're all dealing with this extreme weather. Gadi?
Always a good reminder, Maya, thank you. And just in the last few hours, we are learning new details surrounding the arrest of Justin Timberlake, who is charged with a DUI in Long Island. Now, in this surveillance video, you can see what appears to be the BMW Timberlake was driving that night, headed right in the direction to where he was eventually pulled over on Tuesday. The video was taken by Hampton's DOT cam, which is the only source of continuous live video throughout the Hamptons. We were out to the Sag Harbor Police for confirmation, but we haven't heard back yet. Timberlake was pulled over early Tuesday morning, and police there say he ran a stop sign, then swerved out of his lane several times. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin is there with the latest, including what Timberlake's lawyer is saying. Hey there, Aaron.
Hey there. For the first time since his arrest, we are hearing from Justin Timberlake's attorney releasing a statement just moments ago saying, quote, "I look forward to vigorously defending Mr. Timberlake on these allegations. I will have a lot to say at the appropriate time, but am currently awaiting full discovery from the district attorney's office." Now, we know from court documents that the singer spent the night at the police station behind me on Tuesday morning before appearing in court on a DWI charge. He was pulled over by an officer in the middle of the night for blowing a stop sign and swerving a couple times. We also know from those court documents that he failed every single field sobriety test, although when he got to the police station, he refused chemical tests, which would have determined his exact blood alcohol levels. We know he pleaded not guilty, and now, according to his attorney, he's planning to fight this charge. In the meantime, there is this question mark around his world tour, currently going from concert to concert. His next concert is expected in Chicago on Friday. His next court hearing, though, is July 26, which is when he's expected to be in Poland on tour, although we understand that court hearing will be virtual. Back to you.
Aaron, thank you. And today, Russia and North Korea, two countries with big stockpiles of nukes, just signed a mutual defense pact to basically back each other up in case they're attacked. And as part of that deal, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un promised to support Russian President Vladimir Putin in his war against Ukraine. NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Frater has that story.
Russian President Vladimir Putin got a warm red carpet welcome from Kim Jong Un. There was even a moment of awkward debate over who would be first to get into Kim's luxury car, which incidentally was a gift from Putin. Throughout the state visit, the two remained side by side, projecting unity as they walked past soldiers, horses, groups of children. After 2 hours of talks, they signed a strategic defense treaty that provides mutual assistance in case of aggression against either of the two countries. Putin said the agreement lifts their ties to a new level as they're both looking to strengthen their partnership in the face of sanctions from the West. Kim pronounced North Korea's unwavering support for Russia in the war with Ukraine, and Putin thanked him for that. The question is, what comes next? North Korea has been accused of providing Russia with ammunition and missiles, and the worry is that more deliveries will follow this visit. Moscow, in return, can provide food, energy, and other aid, as well as the sort of technology that could help North Korea boost its missile and nuclear programs. All of this is raising alarms for the U.S. and the West, because this strengthened alliance is not only fueling the war in Ukraine, but instability on the Korean Peninsula. The State Department has already said that North Korea has shipped 11,000 containers of munitions in recent months to aid Russia's war effort. And this visit and all its fanfare will do little to ease those concerns.
Hey there, welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we're watching tonight. When it comes to those political deepfakes, the Biden administration is now saying they have no firm plans to call out disinformation during the 2024 election unless it is clearly coming from foreign actors. Now, this comes as experts expect a bunch of disinformation and deepfakes to start ramping up during election time, but the FBI and DHS don't want to face any accusations of trying to tilt the election. And Louisiana is now the first state to require that the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom. The displays must be in place by the start of 2025, but civil rights groups and organizations are already planning to file a lawsuit against it. And earlier today, a group of U.S. lawmakers met with the Dalai Lama in India, which will most likely upset China. The visit came as President Biden seems ready to sign a bill that puts pressure on Beijing to resolve tensions with Tibet. Chinese officials say the White House must not sign the bill into law or China will take, quote, resolute measures. And speaking of China, the country is sending almost a dozen swimmers who were a part of a doping scandal to the Olympics this summer. Now, they all tested positive for a banned heart drug in 2021, but the results just came out this year. China says they were accidentally eating food contaminated with the substance. And a warning, what you're about to see is disturbing. Wild video appears to show the moment where an SUV driver hit two cyclists near the Dallas-Fort Worth airport and ran one of them over. Police tell NBC News the driver had left the scene, then came back yelling, "I'm sorry." He was immediately arrested for DWI after officers smelled his breath. Then they found 6 empty beer cans in his car. He's been charged with aggravated assault along with that DUI, and the riders are expected to be okay. And now to an NBC News exclusive, a whistleblower is calling out Airbnb for, quote, weakening their policies on banning extremists and hate groups from using their rental platform. NBC's Brandy Zadronsky has more.
As a contractor at Airbnb, Jess Hernandez's job was to investigate users with possible ties to extremist and hate groups.
For a company that has such an intimate business model of staying and sleeping in someone's house, these people are vulnerable. It's our duty to protect them.
As part of what she says was called the Dangerous Organizations Team, she would investigate and remove users that the team determined to be members of those groups. But in a new whistleblower complaint sent to the SEC and FTC and shared with members of Congress, Hernandez alleges that Airbnb dissolved that team last year and weakened its policies against extremist and hate groups, something the company denies.
I'm coming forward not because I want to, but I felt that I had to.
According to the complaint, the team was created in 2018 after Airbnb made news for removing users who used the platform to organize and coordinate stays for the deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. And after January 6th, Airbnb announced in a blog post it was taking aggressive action, banning 130 users determined to be involved in the violence. That same day, CEO Brian Chesky spoke about the company's investigation teams and their responsibility in a New York Times podcast with Kara Swisher.
Does that mean an expansion of this?
Yes. And our general goal is I would like us to be a role model. We don't wait for people to be arrested. Like if there's any evidence you're a member of a hate group, then we remove your account, you're banned.
But in the complaint, Hernandez says she noticed a shift in 2023 after her team banned the parents of far-right activist Lauren Southern under a policy allowing for bans of people with connections to extremists. Southern, known for live streaming with white nationalists, responded on social media saying she'd been banned years ago for her, quote, politics and affiliations, and claimed her parents do not represent me in any way.
As her parents are related to her by blood, the genetics are incriminating.
Conservative media seized on the ban. Hernandez says after that, her team's hands were tied. After a year and a half of working for Airbnb, Hernandez's contract was not renewed in November 2023.
It's scary. It's scary to have information and to have it fall on deaf ears.
Airbnb called the allegations in the complaint, quote, baseless and inaccurate. Writing in a statement, we have actually expanded the remit of our team to detect and remove users who pose safety risk. Adding the company has, quote, robust policies, processes, and teams focusing on promoting community safety. An Airbnb spokesperson noted the company's use of background checks and existing terrorist watch lists, and cited internal statistics showing safety incidents at Airbnb properties are extremely rare. Hernandez says she's speaking out now and hopes that the company will recommit to a proactive approach.
Are you concerned for Airbnb's customers?
I'm very concerned. I wouldn't want my family or my friends staying at an Airbnb.
Brandy, thank you. And you know when your flight is canceled and you have to extend your vacation? Well, this is sort of like that, but except for in zero gravity, thanks to those helium leaks on that Boeing Starliner spacecraft. 2 astronauts are now stuck on the International Space Station for at least another week. NBC's Tom Costello has that story.
Yeah, hey, Gadi. So these 2 astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, they're going to get a little bit more time in a room with a view, that's for sure, getting to look down at the Earth and also out into space. This is not an emergency. Their lives are not in danger, and the spacecraft is still okay. But here's the problem. When this Boeing Starliner spacecraft lifted off on its maiden voyage with astronauts back on June 5th, they knew they were lifting off, NASA knew, with a very small helium leak that they felt was manageable. And in fact, they determined it was manageable, and the spaceship, Starliner, completely flew normally and docked normally with the International Space Station. However, they then discovered they had more helium leaks. They, in fact, know now that they have 5 minor helium leaks on the Starliner spaceship. Now, these are not considered to be game stoppers in any way. They're all small, and Starliner has more than enough helium to get back on Earth. However, there is also a thruster problem, and so because of all of that, they want to take time and dissect the issue. And here's why. The service module is the portion of the spaceship that has not only the leaks, but also the thrusters. And when they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, that service module will burn up on re-entry. It will be gone. So the only chance they have to really dissect and diagnose the problem so they can make sure that on the next spaceship it doesn't come back, the only chance they have is now, while they're docked to the space station. So that's why they are keeping Starliner docked to the station for an extended period of time. So what was going to be 8 days in orbit now becomes 20 days in orbit. We've seen and heard from both Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore in the Starliner spaceship giving a tour that they've now posted on YouTube and elsewhere. And listen, they say that they are very happy with the performance of the spaceship. They thought it was really, really a very smooth ride. But they want to figure out these issues. Specifically, I think they're really concerned about the thruster issue because that started acting up right as they were approaching docking on the space station. So they are hoping that now they can put this behind them once they understand what exactly has happened with the thrusters and also with the helium leak. And then therefore, they will be able to carry their first full load of astronauts probably at the end of the year or at the beginning of next year. Gadi, back to you.
Sounds a little dicey there. Tom, thank you. And coming up, celebrations and commemorations for Juneteenth. We are in Chicago for all the sights and sounds of that city, plus a history lesson with the so-called grandmother of the holiday. But first, you got to see this. You have to check out this spa resort, but it is not for you or me. Believe it or not, it's for squirrels. One Texan forgot to turn off the fan in her front yard and attracted a bunch of little critters to her house. But they weren't running around in the trees. They were on the porch. They were getting blasts of cool air, so the summer sanctuary grew. And it included nuts and seeds and corn and 10 fans eventually, because even the squirrels need a break from the heat. We'll be right back. And on this day, 159 years ago, 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, with an important message. The Army announced that more than 250,000 enslaved African Americans were now free 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. And the day came to be known as Juneteenth by the people in Texas and has been long celebrated in the African American community there for decades. But now that it's a national holiday, Juneteenth is widely celebrated across the country. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster shows us how.
Hi there, Gadi. Well, look, this event has highlighted the different ways that people celebrate Juneteenth. You see some of the full celebrations behind me where there's the bounce house for the kids. Down there, there's a full sound stage where there's a step show going on. We've been listening to bands. You see people just hanging out in the shade, enjoying time with their family, enjoying this day off amid the vendors. Plenty of people out here, black-owned businesses out here selling some of their gear. But there's also a focus on the reflection and the somber remembrance almost, where people, you go inside and there's documentaries on the origin of Juneteenth and what this means for folks and the progress that has yet to be made. I want you to listen to some of the conversations I've been having here at this celebration, one of the largest celebrations in Chicago on Juneteenth. Listen to what some folks have been telling me.
I think the correct way for Juneteenth to be celebrated is in your heart, right? It's whatever you feel as particularly a black person, what this holiday means to you.
Sometimes going and listening to people talk, sometimes things like that as well. So kind of get some more information, education, and things like that sometimes. But today is more of a kind of like a hangout celebration type day.
It helps others outside of the African American community to recognize the greatness of the African American community.
The mayor of Chicago also earlier this week announcing that he was assembling a task force using some money that was budgeted in the city's budget to look at disparities in the city of Chicago in areas like housing, education, and come up with specific recommendations on how to close those disparities and improve upon them, trying to add substance to the day. And I also say, Gadi, here in Chicago, looming over the entire event, over all these festivities, are these temperatures. We know temperatures were expected to hit the mid-90s, and they did, but then you factor in the humidity, and that is when it really got balmy. I spoke to the CEO of this museum who's hosting this entire event. She told me that they had to make special arrangements because of the heat wave that Chicago is experiencing, one of the many cities across the country. They had more water come in. They made sure that there are enough events and festivities happening inside so people can go inside and take a break. They had security guards on duty ready to assist if somebody was getting overheated to help them get inside and get that reprieve indoors. Just one of the many celebrations happening, not just here in Chicago, but Gadi, really all across the country.
Shaq Brewster, thanks for that. So how did Juneteenth become a federal holiday? As NBC News Now anchor Zincle Isamoah explains, it all comes down to one person, 97-year-old Opal Lee.
These walls in Fort Worth, Texas may look like a Black History museum, but it's actually the home of Opal Lee.
And Miss Opal Lee, you are 97 years old, right? Many consider you the grandmother of Juneteenth. How does that title sit with you?
Hey, I don't mind titles.
For years, Lee advocated for Juneteenth to become a federal holiday, inspired by her own family celebrations.
We'd go to the fairground for the Juneteenth celebration. There'd be music and food.
But one year, when Lee was 12, the annual celebration turned to terror.
My parents had just bought a house and my mom had it fixed up so nice. But people started gathering.
What kind of people?
All kinds.
It was a white mob.
The paper says it was 500 of them. And my dad came home with a gun and the police were there and told my dad, if you bust a cap, we'll let this mob have you. They did despicable things.
The terror did not quench her resolve. In 2016, Lee made headlines at 89 years old, pledging to walk from Fort Worth to Washington, D.C. The journey, 2.5 miles each day to symbolize the 2.5 years Black Texans waited for the message of emancipation to reach them.
That if a little old lady in tennis shoes was walking from Fort Worth to D.C. 1,400 miles, somebody would take notice.
And they did. In 2021, the White House calling Lee, President Joe Biden making Juneteenth a federal holiday.
How did you feel?
No, I don't know how to express it. I was awed. I was thankful.
In May, Lee was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I'm struck by how much history lives on your walls, but also in your stories. What do you ultimately want your legacy to be?
That there was an old lady who tried to get it over to everybody that we are one people.
What a wonderful legacy. Zincle Esamoah, thank you so much. And coming up, some of the most well-known rocks in the world just got painted over. Who's behind this stunt at the iconic Stonehenge and the damage to the monument? We're going to have that coming up after the break. Hey, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world. A series of deadly explosions has killed at least 9 people in an ammunition facility in Chad and left more than 40 others hurt. Now, this happened overnight with the fire setting off a chain reaction of explosions that lasted for at least 30 minutes, according to local reports. Efforts are still underway to find and help victims, and the cause of the fire is still unclear. And a rare and deadly bacterial infection is spreading in Japan. It is a rare form of strep, and so far, health officials there have recorded more than 1,000 cases in the first 6 months of this year, which is more than the total number recorded last year in Japan. The CDC said that even with treatment, the illness can still be deadly, and Japan's health ministry says it is not clear what's causing that outbreak. And a Russian court has convicted an American soldier of theft and sentenced him to nearly 4 years in prison. 34-year-old Gordon Black was serving overseas when he decided to visit his Russian girlfriend, who accused Black of stealing money from her purse. The sentencing comes as Russia gets ready to try another American, Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, for espionage. Now, both the paper and the U.S. government have denied the charges against him. And Thailand is on its way to becoming the first Southeast Asian country to legalize same-sex marriage. The country's legislature passed the law yesterday almost unanimously, and the bill is on its way to the king's desk for review, who needs to endorse it before it becomes law. If so, Thailand would be the third Asian country after Nepal and Taiwan to achieve marriage equality. And tension tonight between the U.S. and Israel after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made some pretty strong accusations against the Biden administration.
I said it's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life.
Well, today, the White House is saying they have no idea what he's talking about, adding that they've only paused one shipment of bombs, aside from the billions of dollars in arms they've sent Israel since the start of the war. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley has more.
Well, we've been hearing for months about the rupture, the discord between Washington and Jerusalem. But now we are once again getting a rare sighting of that public enmity between these two leaders, Joe Biden on the one side and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the other. Now, the first shots were definitely fired by Benjamin Netanyahu. He released a video last night in which he scolded the U.S. and demanded that they release more weapons that he said were being held up. Then we heard a response from the White House that was not very sparing. They said that the White House said, "We don't know what Benjamin Netanyahu is talking about." Now, it seems as though diplomacy is kind of getting cast aside in favor of some really open barbs, even as Israel needs more friends than it ever has before. Now, we heard from Axios reporting last night saying that there was a meeting with high-level Israeli diplomats that was canceled in Washington because of that video. Now the White House is denying it, but we're also hearing, NBC News is hearing, from the White House that there is still quite a bit of anger and a reluctance to reward Netanyahu by offering him this meeting, though they did specify once again that this meeting was never finally planned. It was never fully pinned down. It was always kind of up in the air. So it's unclear where this goes from here. But as I mentioned, Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel need American help, need American arms, because the second front in this war is now heating up, perhaps more than it has in the past 8 months. We're seeing more shots fired across Israel's northern border with Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been firing as well into Israel, causing huge forest fires in the north of this country. That is a situation that is hot and getting hotter. We heard from the Israelis saying that they are prepared for war. They even have plans for an offensive into Lebanon. And we heard last night, or just this evening, from Hassan Nasrallah, who is the reclusive leader of Hezbollah. He said that Hezbollah was prepared to move into Israel. And he even called out the island nation of Cyprus and said that if Cyprus were to offer some sort of harbor for Israeli weapons, using its airspace or using its land in order to attack Hezbollah, that they would treat Cyprus as another enemy combatant. So clearly, this is not only just getting increasingly dangerous for Israel and the people of Lebanon, it's becoming increasingly dangerous for the entire region. Once this war, if it does, spill over beyond the bounds that we're seeing now, it could almost certainly involve the entire region. Iran, its proxies in Iraq and Syria, Israel, and U.S. assets, U.S. naval assets that are waiting to see if that war escalates. It's a very dangerous situation, and one that U.S. diplomats are keeping a very close eye on.
Matt Bradley, thank you. And each year, tens of thousands of people flock to Stonehenge in England to take in the glory of the solstice. But this year, some climate activists showed up a few days early and spray painted the iconic archaeological wonder orange. And NBC's Danielle Hemmingen has more.
Well, it's hard not to gasp when you see the pictures. Two climate activists spraying powder paint on one of the oldest and most recognizable prehistoric monuments in the world. You can see members of the public rushing towards them, one of them trying to tackle one of the protesters. They are from the group Just Stop Oil, and their demand that the next UK government end the extraction and burning of oil, gas and coal by 2030. We are in an election campaign here in the UK. Now, why are these massive stones so famous? Well, it's a UNESCO heritage site for one of the most famous landmarks in the UK. It was built 5,000 years ago, and what's so remarkable is that it is in perfect alignment with the sun. We don't know who built them, but we do know after today who tried to damage the structure. A 21-year-old student from Oxford University, a 73-year-old man as well, who said that the orange cornflower used to create what he says is the eye-catching spectacle will wash away with the rain, but not the climate crisis itself if leaders do not act. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister here, said that this was a disgraceful act of vandalism. Keir Starmer, the man running to become the next Prime Minister, he's the leader of the opposition now, said that it was outrageous and called the group, quote, pathetic. The site does remain open, and tomorrow, just like they do every year, crowds will gather for the summer solstice.
Danielle, thank you very much. And before we go, it is time for the future of everything. And tonight we are talking about shapes. Yeah, you heard that right. There is a new effort to reanalyze how the universe might actually look. Why the idea you see here might be what we're really living in, and it looks kind of tasty. It's the future of the galaxy coming up next. Hey, welcome back. Lawmakers are trying to do something about the rise in fake pornos made with AI using celebrities' faces. And just this week, Euphoria star Jacob Elordi was targeted with sexual videos combining his face, apparently with a minor's body. And it is not just impacting big-time celebrities, but teens and students as well. NBC News digital reporter Maya Eaglin has more.
Senators Ted Cruz and Amy Klobuchar introducing a bill on Capitol Hill this week to provide additional protection for victims of deepfake pornography created by artificial intelligence.
We're all aware that this happened to Taylor Swift. And if you happen to be a global pop star, you can get the images pulled down. If you're just a teenager living in Texas or New Jersey or anywhere else, big tech ignores your pleas for help.
Cruz and a bipartisan group of senators proposing the Take It Down Act to be enforced by the Federal Trade Commission. It would hold social media platforms accountable for policing and removing deepfake porn images on their sites, and would require them to take down the images within 48 hours of receiving a valid complaint from a victim.
We all agree this is a common sense step to criminalize the publication of non-consensual intimate images and to provide the statutory right.
The deceptive explicit images are often made by merging a victim's face onto someone else's body, and they can be created using AI apps or by following online tutorials. According to one report from Home Security Heroes, the production of AI porn increased 464% in 2023 year over year, and the vast majority depict women. Public figures like Taylor Swift and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez brought attention to the issue after inappropriate AI-generated images of them circulated online. But not all victims have national platforms.
It was just immediate, felt like nauseous and gross because, like, yeah, it's my face there, but that's not my body.
Stevie Hyder is a sophomore and one of several students at Richmond Burton High School in Illinois who found an explicit AI-generated photo of herself created by a classmate.
If you didn't know they were fake and you didn't know the situation, you were just showing it to a random person on the street, they would believe it's real.
Earlier this year, Democratic Senator Dick Durbin proposed another bill called the Defiance Act that would allow the victims of non-consensual deepfakes to sue people who created or distributed the explicit AI material. But it failed to get a floor vote last week after another senator objected, saying that the bill was too broad in scope. In Stevie's case, 2 minors were arrested and charged, according to the state's attorney's office.
I think our lawmakers are reactionary, and if being louder about it means that there's more legislation that gets up faster so that people can be held accountable, then that's what we're going to do.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Maya, thank you for that. And finally tonight, let's chat real quick about a new paper in physics that is reanalyzing all kinds of old cosmic data to try to figure out the shape of our universe. And while they do that, let's do some reanalyzing of our own by consulting the oracle that is our favorite random yellow dude in a bar, talking to the one and only Stephen Hawking way back in 1999. Take a look at this.
Your theory of a donut-shaped universe is intriguing, Homer. I may have to steal it.
Wow, I can't believe someone I never heard of is hanging out with a guy like me.
No, but for real, Homer might have been onto something. The almighty donut shape, known in the world of topology as the 3 torus, was one of the shapes in the running for being the actual shape of the universe. And according to this new paper, if it has some twists in it, even better. But the bigger debate remains. Is our universe infinite or finite? In other words, does it have what they call trivial topology or complex topology? And that is where things get super weird. And so who better to help explain this than astrophysicist and professor of physics and astronomy at Columbia University, Jana Levin. Jana, thank you so much for being with us. So let's just start with the big picture on the 2 options here. Is the universe infinite or not?
It's really a question that even Einstein couldn't answer. Very early after he started to think about space-time as the universe, thinking that those were the same thing, he asked himself, well, is it infinite? And he famously quipped that only 2 things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity. And then he said, I'm not so sure about the universe. So he knew the universe might not be infinite, but he didn't know how to make it compact.
So going back to the donut there, I mean, it's delicious. Does that seem like a better candidate for the possible shape of a universe that gives us somewhat of like an infinite horizon than most?
Yeah, interestingly and surprisingly, there are only a couple of ways to imagine the universe is infinite, but there are an infinite number of ways to make the universe finite. So you kind of, the donut is the simplest, but you can kind of imagine a 3-space origami where you're gluing the pieces together in increasingly more complicated ways. And all of those are different models for the universe. And honestly, we don't have a way of distinguishing one from the other as better or more natural. We don't understand why when the universe is born, if it is finite, which has a certain, I don't know, comfort to it to imagine that the universe, like everything else in it, is finite, why it would choose a certain shape. We don't understand that part. So what we do instead is we look out into space and we're agnostic about the possibilities and we imagine all of the permutations we can think of. And we see if what we see in space replicates that.
When you're talking about replication, I mean, I've always wondered, like, if you look up into the sky and you somehow see a very similar image twice in different directions. They may be a little bit different, but they look very, very similar. What would that tell us in terms of the shape of the universe?
Well, if you imagine leaving the Earth, which is a compact surface, you would eventually, I mean, not leaving the Earth, sorry, leaving New York City on the Earth, which is compact surface, and you walk in as straight a line as you can, you'd come back to New York again. And so in these finite spaces, it's kind of like that. If you left a rocket and you left our solar system behind us, the entire planet Earth, and you traveled in as straight a line as you could, you might find yourself coming back again. And this idea is also true of the light that wraps around the space. So we would see images of our own planet in different directions, but we'd be seeing the Earth as it was, let's say, in the past. Now, we know the universe is much, much bigger than that. We know it's much bigger than being able to see light wrap around from the Earth. But it might be small enough that we could see light from distant galaxies wrapping around multiple times. So it'd be kind of like living in a hall of mirrors, where you would see repeated images of the same object in different directions.
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking of like different stars in different places. The idea of seeing ourselves in different places in the sky. Yeah. I mean, can't wait for those telescopes.
Just have to wait long enough.
Yeah, exactly. Jana, thank you so very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks,
and always helping us think extremely big. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.